Welcome back in, everybody. Changing it up here for a moment. We're talking to our friend, actor Kevin Sorbo, actor, writer, and director. He played Hercules on Hercules, The Legendary Journeys from 95 to 99. And he's got two things we want to talk about, actually. First up is his book. He's also got a movie coming out next month. The book, Kevin, good to talk to you again. The Test of Lionhood. Tell us about it.
Backtrack a little bit. Hercules was from 93 to 99. Don't take 2 years away from me. I worked 14 hours a day for 2 years. And then they got to throw Andromeda 5 years.
I just read what they put in front of me.
I know. It's not the first time. It's not the first time. So let's listen. I do a lot of speaking events, and a lot of times I get up there and say, I'm tired of the people out there talking about the silent majority. Where the heck is the silent majority? Why are they not speaking up? I say, I got to wake up the lions because the sheep are going to be sheep. Well, Brave Books came to me, and they said, we got to do a book about that, because they know where I stand on the whole, what's going on with the kids in our country right now. Let boys be boys. Let boys be boys, and when they get older, let them decide what the heck they want to do with their lives. Stop making these changes for kids. The same thing goes for girls. But this is a book about having fathers be around for their children, having fathers be around for the boys, and be there, part of their life. And I'm taking anything away from women. Wives have and mothers have a very important role in the family as well. But we need mother and fathers working together to raise these kids to become strong men and women. And this book deals with a young lion cub, and he's out playing in the woods with his two little sisters. She gets cut by a very poisonous plant. He knows the only way to save her is to go to the mountain and get this special flower that his father showed him how to do. There's no way he can get back to his parents in time and go back the other way to get the flower. So he's got to get past all these obstacles and find courage amongst all the fears got going on there. It's a wonderful children's book. You know what Braves books, 4 to 12-year-olds, they do wonderful, wonderful stuff for the kids to really have it. They're very educational because they're certainly not doing the public schools, as you know.
Kevin, I'm fascinated by the trajectory. Thanks for coming on, first of all. Secondly, I'm fascinated by the trajectory of Hollywood and the way things have gone. You're talking about when you were a star in those shows, you're working 14 hours a day. Did you ever think that Hollywood would go so far political? It's always been political, but it used to be. I'm curious how you would analyze this. When I was a kid growing up and somebody won an Oscar, and they got up at the stage and they made some sort of political statement, it felt like everybody in America rolled their eyes. And they just said, yeah, you're an actor, you're an actress, what do you know? You're entitled, I guess, to your opinion. But really, we just want to, watch Titanic, or we just want to hear about, One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, or whatever it was. When did this pivot happen where it's like, oh, we're going to take celebrities really serious when it comes to their political opinions? I feel like that pivot was really super important, and it's when Hollywood just totally lost its mind.
Well, I think it was the 60s. I think you look at...
so even further back.
Yeah, I mean, it started then where there was no rating system before the 60s. Every movie was pretty much a G or PG rated movie. But the 60s came along and you had rock and roll. You had the assassinations of, Bob and Jack and Martin Luther and all these people, and the Vietnam War, the heavy rock and roll really exploding, all these different things, the free love, the hippie movement, everything. And then they started celebrating the anti-hero. They stopped celebrating the good guy doing good things. We started giving more and more credence to bad guys and looking at them as cool people to be. And it only got worse as the decades went along. And so, to me, it's been happening. But Hollywood was really conservative back when it started through the 20s, 30s, and 40s. And even, you look at the African-American population, they were pretty Republican up until the 60s. The Welfare Reform Act and a couple other things really changed things quite a bit. But the last 15 years, it's accelerated on itself. And you know more than anything else, the liberals use hate and anger and divisiveness just to have hate and anger and divisiveness. They need to look up the word liberal, what it means in the dictionary. It means everybody's opinion is supposed to be okay. But it's such a one-way street. You know they're hypocrites. I'm the first cancel culture victim in Hollywood because of me saying the things I said on Facebook, which was just the truth. They took me down. I lost over 2 million followers. Please follow me on Twitter, or X as it's called now, but at @KSorbs. I do very sarcastic, funny truths. Like I said, you want to get rid of COVID, tell the Clintons COVID's got something on them. It was kind of those kind of things that I was posting out there. So to me, and I said I need more conspiracy theories because mine have all come true. So the battle is on with that, and I got booted out, so I formed SorboStudios.com, and Sorbo Studios, with my wife and I, we do a lot of family-friendly movies. There's a lot of movies I've been part of in the independent world, not all mine, but because I'm independent, other independent people came to me. I've done like Soul Surfer, God's Not Dead, What If. Let There Be Light, my wife and I did together. I got a movie that came out in January called Left Behind, Rise of the Antichrist, based on the Left Behind books. And then I got a new one coming out this fall in October called Miracle in East Texas that I also directed. We have John Ratzenberger, Lou Gossett Jr., Tyler Main, my wife Sam's in it. True story dealing with the 1930 con men that went through Oklahoma, Texas, wooing widows out of their money on fake oil wells. True story. They would sell 500% of the shares, declare a dry hole, and move on. Largest oil strike in the world happened to them by accident in Kilgore, Texas. It's how the Hunt family became wealthy, actually. And it's pro-oil. It's going to drive them crazy. Pro-capitalism, pro-faith, pro-freedom, pro-patriot. All these people that want to get rid of oil need to go online and say, how many products are made out of oil? They think it's just gas. If they really want to get rid of oil, then they should get rid of their iPhone, their computer, their toothbrush, hairbrush, hair dryer. There's so many things. But the ignorance of our population, the ignorance of what the public schools have done to kids is just going to continue until we stand up and be lions.
Now, Kevin, you've had some big commercial hits. You mentioned some of the movies. You know, I mean, God is how much? Tell everybody, how much money did God Is Not Dead make?
God's Not Dead. We shot for $2 million and made $140 million.
Yeah.
Wow.
So that's super home run 10 times over under Hollywood terms. I mean, I actually know a couple people that produce Hollywood, big budget Hollywood films, and if they could get an ROI like that, they'd be celebrated throughout the whole industry. Things feel like there's changing a little bit now in a good way. You just had what was the big movie that just came out, Clay? I'm just blanking on the name right now. Sound of Freedom, right? Thank you. Sound of Freedom just came out.
Sound of Freedom had two good things going for it. Number one, they got signed up by Angel Studios. They shot that movie 5 years ago. I know I've known Jim Caviezel for years. We had the same manager for a long time. So they shot it for about $15 million. They had to buy it back from Disney because Disney was stupid enough not to do it. They went on with their Indiana Jones, a $300 million movie that didn't make as much money as Sound of Freedom did, and Angel Studios has the power through The Chosen. They got all these people funding that thing outside the studios, and they said, support this movie. And people supported it. And then Hollywood came in, which is amazing to me because I told my wife this. I said, you would think this is one thing Hollywood would back at and say, yeah, we're for that too, because it's against child sex trafficking, but apparently Hollywood's all for it. So they came and attacked the movie, and a lot of people out there, no matter what side of the fence you're on, no matter what religion or non-religion, they're against sex trafficking too. When they saw Hollywood do it, they said, the heck with this, we're going to support this movie. So that movie is probably going to make close to $250 million worldwide.
Is conservative traditional content, though, ascendant in a way that we've been hoping for a long time? That's kind of what I wanted to get to with you.
I think it's gonna keep getting better. Independent movies getting better and better. I've got more coming out. Look, with the strike we got going on right now, I had to get a waiver from SAG to even talk about my movie, which was weird because they've never done that before. They've stopped other productions, but not stopped people produce. This movie is done a couple of years ago. We just waited for the right time to get it out until people started going back to the theaters more.
I'm curious, Kevin, how often do people that surprise you when you see them out in public say, I agree with a lot of what you're saying? You mentioned earlier lions versus sheep. I mean, obviously being willing to speak out is a lion trait, but there's also a lot of people who would agree with what you're saying, even in the Hollywood industries, I imagine. How often does that happen where people say, hey, I'm not willing because of whatever financial pressures or fears they might have, but they say to you privately, keep saying everything you're saying?
Well, number one, to get non-Hollywood people, when I go through airports, hotel lobbies, whatever it may be, I get stopped all the time from people. That's not Hercules or Andromeda. They'd say, hey, we loved you in Soul Surfer, Let There Be Light. Please make more movies like that. And then every time I've been on set, certainly the last 6-7 years, I'll get an actor, I'll get a producer, I'll get a camera guy, somebody come over and go, hey, come here. And we got to go over to the corner of the studio like we're doing a drug deal. And they say, look around, hey, thanks for being a voice for us. And I go, dude, be a voice for yourself. But they're afraid. Fear is a big factor. Hollywood, look, they scream for, the tolerance, but it's a one-way street with these guys. The hypocrisy not only bleeds through Hollywood, the same thing as you know in D.C. These guys don't care if they lie. They hate the truth. That's kryptonite to them. But I'm going to keep fighting the good fight, and I've been very blessed to keep making movies without Hollywood since they booted me out. I've shot over 60 movies. Not all of them good, but most of them are pretty good.
Kevin, where can people go? First off, tell everyone the book and then where they can go or plan to go for the movie Miracle in East Texas.
Test of Lionhood. Oh, you got it right there, too. Test of Lionhood, go to bravebooks.com, bravebooks.com. Very important. Get on there. These are great books, great educational books, great inspiring books. I'm already getting a lot of people coming back to my website saying how much they love it. And for the movie, and actually for the Brave Books, but for my movie, go to sorbostudios.com, sorbostudios.com. It's a Fathom event. It's tough to get independent movies out there to 2,000 screens, run 750 screens. So please go there now, buy tickets now, because we only get one weekend. If we fill up those theaters, we'll get more and more days.
Thanks so much. Kevin Sorbo, everybody.